Welcome to Check This Out, podcast for kids.
And their grown-ups, where we explore people, places, ponderings, and past moments from history that shape the world around us. My name is Amy Contreras.
And I'm Cece.
Today we are talking all about the sixth natural wonder of the world in our series,
The Great Barrier Reef.
This has been such a fun series where we've gone around the world learning about the different natural wonders of the world. In future episodes, we will do another series on the ancient wonders of the world. But right now, we're settling in and celebrating the amazing natural wonders that are all over our planet.
Let's get into it.
Hold your horses, Cece. We've already learned a lot about the natural wonders of the world. But before we go further, can you help me remember which ones we've already talked about?
Yeah! The Grand Canyon, Mount Everest, Parícutin volcano, the harbor of Rio de Janeiro, Aurora Borealis.
Right. After today's episode on the Great Barrier Reef, we only have one more natural wonder left to talk about.
Victoria Falls.
I'm excited for that one. But I think before we dive in, get it?
Mom.
Sorry, I had to make a water joke. But before we start talking about the Great Barrier Reef, let's do a lightning round to review what we've already learned about all the other wonders we've already talked about. Do you think you can handle it?
Let's see what you got.
Here we go. Question number 1. This is an easy one. What state is the Grand Canyon located? A, California. B, Arizona. C, Colorado. If you said B, Arizona, you're right. Nice job.
Question number 2.
What natural force helped create the Grand Canyon? A, volcanic eruption. B, glacial carving. C, river erosion over millions of years.
I think it's C.
If you said C, you're right. The Colorado River has been running through the Grand Canyon for millions of years, eroding away the earth over the years, creating this beautiful canyon we know and love today.
Question number 3.
Mount Everest is part of what mountain range?
A,
Himalayas.
B,
The Alps.
C.
The Andes. If you guessed A and said the Himalayas, really good memory. Now this is a tricky one.
Question number 4.
Approximately how tall is Mount Everest?
A,
29,029 feet.
B,
14,505 feet.
C.
19,341 feet. If you went for the biggest one, you nailed it. The answer is A, 29,029 feet. But if you remember from the episode, there are actually 2 different official heights when it comes to talking about Mount Everest. There's the snow height and the rock height, which are just slightly different.
Question number 5.
What makes the Parícutin volcano special? A, it's the tallest volcano in the world. B, it erupted suddenly in a cornfield in Mexico, and scientists witnessed its whole life cycle. C, it's active all year round. Do you remember the answer?
If you think the answer is B, you're correct. Next question.
Question number 6. I think you're going to nail this one. Where is the Parícutin volcano located?
A,
Hawaii.
B,
Japan.
C.
Mexico. I hope you got it right because I gave you the answer in question number 5. The answer is C, Mexico. Nice work. Couple more questions for you in this lightning round, and then we'll get into our episode on the Great Barrier Reef. Here we go with question number 7. Why is the harbor of Rio de Janeiro famous? A, it's the largest natural bay in the world. B, it's located between mountains and beaches. C, it has the most ships in its harbor in the world.
Mama, can I guess? A.
The answer is A. The Rio de Janeiro harbor is the largest natural bay in the world. And if you don't remember the exact size, go back and listen to the episode. Here's another question about the harbor of Rio de Janeiro. Question number 8. What famous mountain is near the harbor of Rio de Janeiro? A, Mount Fuji, B, Sugarloaf Mountain, C, Mount Kilimanjaro. If you said B, Sugarloaf Mountain, great memory.
I remember hearing about that.
On to our next question. Question number 9. Where are the northern lights most commonly visible?
A,
Around the Arctic Circle in countries like Norway and Canada,
B,
near the equator,
C.
over the Sahara Desert. I hope you said A, because the northern lights are very visible the closer you are to the North Pole. Here's our last question in the lightning round. Question number 10. What causes the northern lights or the Aurora Borealis to occur? Is it A, sunlight reflecting off of clouds, B, the Earth's volcanic activity, or C, charged particles from the sun hitting Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere? If you said C, awesome guess, listeners. That was fun. I hope you all remembered a few more facts than just the ones we discussed, but I enjoyed getting a little refresher with all of our listeners.
Me too.
Now that we've checked lightning round off of our to-do list, I think it's time to start learning about the Great Barrier Reef. Should we dive in?
I'm ready.
Excellent. The Great Barrier Reef is a huge and vibrant reef ecosystem. It is one of the world's 7 natural wonders, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Do you remember what a UNESCO World Heritage Site is? We talked about it a little in the episode on the harbor of Rio de Janeiro.
I remember hearing about that.
A UNESCO World Heritage Site is a natural or cultural site of outstanding universal value that has been put on the UNESCO World Heritage List. When places get this designation, it recognizes the site's significance for all of humanity and helps make sure it's protected for future generations.
Oh, that's important.
And we're only getting started. The Great Barrier Reef also holds the title of the largest coral reef system in the world. This makes it the biggest living structure on the planet.
Huh?
Yeah, the Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on the planet because the coral that makes up a really big part of it is actually a living thing. We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
I'm excited to learn more.
The Great Barrier Reef is famous for a lot of reasons. It's known for its crystal clear waters, colorful corals, and the more than 900 islands that are scattered throughout. It's an important network of marine sanctuaries, and it's a safe haven for thousands of species of plants and animals. The Great Barrier Reef is located off of the northeast coast of Queensland, Australia. I mentioned how thousands of plants and animals live there. Let's break this down a little bit.
True or false?
There are over 200 types of coral that live in the Great Barrier Reef.
The answer is true.
There are actually 400 types of coral that live in the Great Barrier Reef. What's amazing about that is coral is a living, breathing thing. Corals consist of small, colonial, plankton-eating invertebrate animals called polyps. They're kind of anemone-like. Although corals are sometimes mistaken for rocks or non-living things, they are live animals.
Got it.
Here's another one.
True or false?
There are almost 1,000 species of fish that live in the Great Barrier Reef.
The answer is false.
There are actually over 1,500 species of fish that live in the Great Barrier Reef. There are also around 4,000 types of mollusks.
Fancy.
True or false? Endangered animals live in the Great Barrier Reef.
The answer is true.
The Great Barrier Reef is important for a lot of reasons, but it also holds a really big scientific importance because it's the home to animals such as the dugong, or the sea cow, and the large green turtle. Both animals are threatened with extinction.
How sad.
While we are on the topic of how massive the Great Barrier Reef is and how many animals and sea life call it their home, there's even more to share.
Here's a quick overview.
There are 242 species of birds that have been recorded living in the Great Barrier Reef. At least 30 species of whales and dolphins live here, and it's an important place for humpback whales to have their babies. 6 of the world's 7 species of marine turtle live in the Great Barrier Reef. It also holds the world's largest green turtle breeding site. As I mentioned earlier, there are 900 islands in the Great Barrier Reef. These provide shelter, food, and habitats to a wide number of birds and sea life.
I learned something new today.
I mean, when you're talking about something as massive as the Great Barrier Reef, it's hard not to learn something new because there's so much to talk about. For example, when I say the Great Barrier Reef is huge, what do you think that means?
I don't know.
Well, the Great Barrier Reef spans about 1,400 miles, and as I mentioned, it's the largest living structure on the planet. It's roughly the same size as the country of Japan.
Whoa!
It's also about half the size of Texas. It's so big, the Great Barrier Reef is visible from space.
My mind is blown.
The Great Barrier Reef first became a protected park in 1975, and it was listed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1981. This is important because pollution and global warming have started to negatively affect the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh no!
25% of all known marine species live in the Great Barrier Reef.
That's a big number.
It is. The Great Barrier Reef is unique for so many reasons. Its size, the diversity of animal life that it supports, its beauty. Protecting it from climate change and overfishing and pollution is important so that future generations can experience this wonder of the world as well. Within the Great Barrier Reef, there are over 40 protected species of animals. These are species that are either threatened or fully endangered.
Check this out.
Part of what makes the Great Barrier Reef so important is the biodiversity it supports.
What does that word mean?
Biodiversity is the number and variety of species that an ecosystem supports. So we mentioned earlier that the Great Barrier Reef has 25% of known marine species that occur within it. This means a lot of different kinds of animals and plants and corals. On coral reefs, all living creatures function together and have important jobs to do to maintain the health and stability of the entire ecosystem.
That makes a lot of sense.
Coral reefs have the highest biodiversity of any ecosystem on Earth, even more than the tropical rainforests, and each species has a role to play in the life of the reef.
Like what, Mama?
Well, for example, hammerhead sharks and other predators keep populations of prey in check. They prevent overgrazing, and by eating other animals, they actually allow the coral populations to thrive. Even the little sea cucumber has a critical role to play. For example, the sea cucumber eats and poops sand. But by doing this, it counteracts the negative effects of ocean acidification. Researchers even believe that sea cucumbers could be key players in combating the devastating effects of climate change on the Great Barrier Reef. Other species that live in the reef have what we would call a mutually beneficial relationship with each other. So I'll give you an example. Cece, do you remember which of our fictional fish friends lives in the Great Barrier Reef?
Nemo.
Yes, good memory. So Nemo is a clownfish, and clownfish are another example of how the biodiversity of the Great Barrier Reef helps it continue to thrive. So clownfish live in anemones, and anemones have like stinging tentacles, which might shock other fish. But what the clownfish do when they live in an anemone is they clean their host anemone of parasites. And this provides a source of nitrogen for growth, and it ultimately helps circulate the water of the reef. So this is why protecting the biodiversity of the reef matters. It isn't just individual species, but how they all work together. And sadly, the Great Barrier Reef is under pressure.
Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, Cece. Climate change is causing rising ocean temperatures. Human interference threatens the survival of the Great Barrier Reef. We all need to take action to protect and preserve this natural wonder for years to come. Something bad has been happening in the Great Barrier Reef, and it's called coral bleaching. In 2024, the U.S. National and Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, confirmed that the world has experienced a fourth mass coral bleaching event, and it's the second one to occur in just the last 10 years.
What does that mean?
Well, remember, corals are like colorful animals that live in the ocean. They have these tiny plants called zooxanthellae that give them bright colors and food. But when the water gets too warm or too polluted, the corals get stressed, kind of like how you might feel when you're sick or upset. But because of this stress, the corals kick out the tiny plants and they turn white, which is called bleaching. If things get better and the water cools down, the tiny plants can come back and the corals can regain their colors. So coral bleaching is like a siren or a warning that the coral's getting stressed and losing its colors. But it can recover if the conditions improve. So this is why protecting the Great Barrier Reef and fighting climate change is so important. If we don't do something, the bleached corals will get sicker and then die.
I had no idea.
It's our responsibility as humans to protect the planet we live on. About 850 million people around the world rely on coral reefs for food, for jobs, and these reefs also serve as coastal protection from storms.
Check this out.
Half of all tropical reefs have disappeared in the last century, and we're on course to lose up to 90% by 2050, and possibly all coral reefs by the end of the century.
That is not okay.
But now you know. This is why we learn about different places around the world. The more we know, the more we can help. BarrierReef.org has lots of cool ways for you to get involved and learn more if you want to check it out with a grown-up. Humans have interacted with the Great Barrier Reef for thousands of years. We know that the Aboriginal people of Australia occupied parts of the Australian continent for around 40,000 years. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have fished and hunted in the waters of the Great Barrier Reef and navigated between its many islands for thousands of years. This was long before European explorers started documenting the reef. The earliest documented evidence of Europeans sighting the Great Barrier Reef was from the French in June of 1768.
That was a long time ago.
It was. Humans have relied on the Great Barrier Reef for food and protection for thousands of years. Now it's our turn to protect the Great Barrier Reef from climate change and pollution and overfishing. We want this natural wonder of the world around for a long time. I hope you had fun learning about all the cool animals that live in the Great Barrier Reef, the many species, its unique size, and the overall impact of the Great Barrier Reef on our world. Sadly, it's time to wrap up, but as always,
we wrote you a poem.
Deep in the ocean, far away, lies a natural wonder that brightens each day. The Great Barrier Reef, big and grand, the biggest living thing in all the land. It's a colorful, sparkling sight with coral castles shining bright. Colorful corals and fish all share, a home for sea creatures everywhere. Turtles, whales, and seagulls too call this great reef their home and view. The ocean's getting hot, the corals turn white. That's coral bleaching, a stressful sight. It's up to us to stand and say, let's keep the reef safe and okay. Because so many creatures do rely on this reef safe in the sea and sky. So let's protect this wonder bright for future generations' delight. Together we can help the reef continue to thrive and keep its colorful world alive. Thank you for listening to another episode of Check This Out. We use verified sources when creating episodes for you.
Our sources are
National Geographic, BarrierReef.org, WorldWildlife.org, and UNESCO.org.
Thanks for listening. See you next episode. Don't forget to subscribe.